The year was 1976 when this happened. The U.S. government was in the throes of a campaign, now check this out, to inoculate every man, woman, and child, sound familiar, in the United States against the swine flu in an effort to avoid a repeat of the flu pandemic from 1918. Of course, the swine flu never developed, but that didn't stop them from trying to inject as many people as possible. And again, with the focus on every man, woman, and child, which again sounds a little familiar to what we're dealing with today. And for that, 60 Minutes did a follow-up on this about 3 or 4 years later. I believe it was 1979 when Mike Wallace did this segment about the fallout from the swine flu vaccine and what happened. Some of the unintended consequences, so to speak, of their, trying to protect everyone and doing things that, well, the government basically really shouldn't be trying to do. But here they are trying to do it. So, again, this is a segment from 60 Minutes, and we'll start it off pretty much right from the start and take a look at and this is some of the, Paul, I guess you'd call this propaganda. This is a good word for it.
I call it a free infomercial is what I call it.
Right. There was also a bunch of commercials that I didn't include because we just don't have time to include them all, but I'll try and find them and we'll post them for you guys to check out. But here's how the segment begins on 60 Minutes. Check this out. This is cut number 14.
See how easy it is to.
Thus, the U.S. government's publicity machine was cranked into action to urge all America to protect itself against the swine flu menace.
Influenza is serious business. During major flu epidemics, millions of people are sick and thousands die. Well, this year you can get protection. The vaccines are safe, easy to take, and they can protect you against flu. So roll up your sleeve. Protect yourself.
Whew. Again, is that not mirroring what we're seeing right now, just with better video?
I got to be honest with you. I like the retro look. I think it sells. I think it looks so wholesome. Come to think of it, I think I'm going to go get jabbed. I mean, again.
Yeah. So basically, what this report goes through, Mike Wallace, he finds, he interviews some people, but he interviews one person who was affected by the vaccine, by something that you may have heard seems to be making its name known here now with the COVID vaccine. Check this out. This is cut number 15. G. This is Judy Roberts being interviewed by Mike Wallace.
One of those who did roll up her sleeve was Judy Roberts. She was perfectly healthy, an active woman, when in November of 1976, she took her shot. 2 weeks later, she says, she began to feel a numbness starting up her legs.
Kind of like Eric Clapton.
I joked about it at that time. I said I'll be numb to the knees by Friday if this keeps up. By the following week, I was totally paralyzed.
So completely paralyzed, in fact, that they had to operate on her to enable her to breathe. And for 6 months, Judy Roberts was a quadriplegic. The diagnosis? A neurological disorder called Guillain-Barré syndrome, GBS for short.
Where have I heard that?
These neurological diseases are little understood. They affect people in different ways. As you can see in these home movies taken by a friend, Judy Roberts' paralysis confined her mostly to a wheelchair for over a year.
Wow.
Amazing, right?
Wow.
Amazing. It's the same neurological disease, a certain neurological issue that seems to be rearing its ugly head that we're starting to hear more about due to the COVID vaccine.
Yeah. I mean, the only difference is now 60 Minutes will be, essentially a commercial itself. It'll only be good, positive press for vaccines, for conformity, for big government, big business, big monolithic corporations. It would just be a big infomercial guised as news.
Yeah, exactly. Now this next clip, we get introduced to the CDC director, who was in charge at the time. He's no longer there when he's interviewed for this. But check this out, Paul. You'll enjoy this. This is cut number 16. G.
Dr. David Sencer, then head of the CDC, the Center for Disease Control in Atlanta, is now in private industry. He devised the swine flu program, and he pushed it. You began to give flu shots to the American people in October of 77.
Now listen
October
to this.
1st. By that time, how many cases of swine flu around the world had been reported?
There had been several reported, but none confirmed. There had been cases in Australia that were reported by the press, by the news media. There were cases in...
None confirmed. Did you ever uncover any other outbreaks of swine flu anywhere in the world?
No.
Again, that's the former head of the CDC. And you know, it bears distinction, of course. You know, COVID is here and people have been diagnosed, quote unquote diagnosed. Now we're starting to find out, well, the PCR tests, those don't really work, so we don't know what you had. They couldn't distinguish between flu and COVID. So who knows really what you had? So there's an example of the government already jumping on, hey, we're going to spring into action. Let's make sure we protect everybody before anything even happens. And usually when you try to stop something before it even happens, you end up killing people.